Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. I'm very excited about today's episode. This is going to be a really good one. So we are talking to a mind, body, soul expert from truthofyou.org. And what she does is she helps people who need to be healthy and to lose weight and to do that without diet and exercise and all the other things, I guess. So I'm excited to hear more about how you do that. So we're talking to Nicole Fevrier Davis. Hey, Nicole, you ready to rock?
I am. I'm excited.
So we always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
I teach a course, and in that course, it's a 10-week course. I've been able to help people lose 60 pounds in 4 months. I've helped people get off of high cholesterol medication, blood pressure medication, hypertension, diabetes medication, and become happier and happier as a result of it.
Well, yeah. How do you do it?
Okay. So working in first, I should probably tell you I'm a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, behavior specialist. I'm also a metabolic technician and a master healer now. I'm clairaudient, clairvoyant, clairsentient. So I had 34 years experience of all of those, I want to say, ways of treating people, helping people try to find how to be healthy and at their healthiest weight. Um, the problem I had in 34 years, as I'm sure you can imagine, is that you start to see this repetitive pattern of people depending on you, having to go to you over and over and over again. And although that was repeat business, like, oh, yay, that's good for me.
Mhm.
Inside, I was shrinking. I felt horrible. I felt something like a hypocrite because they should have been healed and moved on or lost weight and moved on. But just like everyone talks about, I instead saw this roller coaster effect of weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain over and over and
Yep.
over again.
Yep.
So that I found that even with, 34 years in the industry, 13 health and fitness centers later, 18 certifications in metabolism, how biology, exercise physiology, and how everything should work. And what we were told over and over and over again was that the limbic brain was essentially this unruly elephant out of control. And the limbic brain, just a little bit of science here, the limbic brain is responsible for fight or flight response, but it's also responsible for all biological functioning, all metabolic functioning, but it's also the place we need to begin. What science was telling me over and over and over again was that the only way to control this random thing happening in our minds was to subjugate it with supplements, medications, diets, brutal exercise, boost your metabolism, fire up your metabolism. No, no, no. That was all horrifying to the limbic brain. But I didn't figure that out until I had some transmissions that I channeled from God and Jesus about what was actually happening in the limbic brain. All of those things that were supposed to help us lose weight, be fit and healthy, were actually irritating the limbic brain even more, sending it into more of a fearful mode. So, what I did was to get direct transmissions from God and Jesus about how to calm the limbic brain, bringing neurochemical balance back into place so that the human body could perform normally, function normally, have a more balanced metabolism, a more balanced biological functioning, nervous systems calm down. And that's why everyone started losing weight and getting off of medications. There was no need for them anymore. But that's why I say everything that I teach is exactly what no weight loss professional, no scientist, no doctor, a Western medical metabolic doctor wants you to know, because that would then prevent them from selling you more of their garbage, more of their shit. Sorry, excuse me.
Well, yeah. No, I agree with you. It's really is a little bit messed up that I always found it interesting that the doctor that I had when I was growing up was quite overweight and, just appeared to be generally unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of like just this weird kind of like I didn't think about it too much. Just later on in life when I started to try to take care of myself when I was no longer a kid and eat right and all that kind of stuff. And, you just find out that, most people think that if something's wrong, I just go to the doctor and I get a pill for it. And I just was never really a pill person. I just thought I could do it myself. It's probably maybe like a ego thing. I don't need a pill. I can figure this out myself. Right.
No, I agree. I agree, though. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. And so I just thought, I just thought that if I was going to go get advice from somebody, why wouldn't I just go get advice from somebody who is where I want to be and then just do what they're doing? And, this guy clearly wasn't where I wanted to be. So in that area, that's not where I'm going to go. And so anyway, that's kind of where I came to.
Yeah, no, I agree. The problem, though, that our Father in heaven had like kind of laid out for me is that we already have embedded within our own souls exactly what we need to be healthy at
Mm,
our healthiest weight, balanced, happy, fulfilled. We have this. And by subjugating those messages and going to someone else who's supposed to know us better than we know ourselves, we're actually denying ourselves exactly the health and balanced weight that we could be having just by paying attention and listening. And so we don't really need doctors or science to tell us this. We don't really
yeah.
need influencer to tell us this or even follow, I as a personal trainer and working in the fitness industry for 34 years, I posted video after video after video exercises that people could do for arm strength and back strength and flexibility. And I realized that I was adding to the problem. I wasn't bringing anything new to the table until I started these transmissions from God and Jesus about what the original intention for our limbic brain was, and that it was already impressed in our souls how to access that information. What we're listening to, though, is a constant diatribe of distraction, keeping us away from that.
Yeah.
So what I help people do is I help people realign with what the wisdom in their soul has for them. And that's what gets them healthier. It's not someone who's, prescribing pharmaceuticals and pills and popping pills or, you know, injections. Oh, I worked with metabolic doctors that provided neurochemical balance with injections. That was only 50% effective. And then the rest dropped off anyway. They started gaining more weight back anyway. Then the last doctor I worked with had a plethora of assessments. We had massive amounts of questions to ask people about all the metrics that they look at when you're a metabolics professional. But the only problem was then there was a blood test that we were supposed to suggest to our clients that they get. Apparently, that's illegal in the states of New York and Connecticut and New Jersey. So we couldn't do that. But what it proved to me was that he knew that the limbic brain was the place to start, that last doctor. He knew where to start. But the way he addressed weight gain or health was through his supplements. He had a joint deal with Thorne, which is a huge chemical company
Mm.
that provides supplements and powders and all these things. He had a huge deal with them, and they had a huge deal with my gym. And I really, it disgusted me that that was the motivation for providing these new cutting edge fitness, metabolics, and biological health assessments.
Yeah.
And that, you know, I saw the writing on the wall. This is going nowhere. This is going the same place that everything else went. And we sold devices. And like I said, we sold supplements, devices, personal training, obviously, but also nutrition appointments. And it was all going down the same road of just making more money for people I don't care about, and
Yeah.
I care about my client. That's who I care about. And so, yeah, that's why I came to this professional wall and started praying about, you know, I didn't start. I had prayed the same prayer for 34 years prior to every healing I gave to any human, and then towards the end, I realized that these people who I'm training for weight loss needed it even more because they were suffering something deep inside that no one was really talking about. Um, but I prayed every time I had a client in front of me, dear God, please make me that perfect, clear, perfect, protected channel for whatever it is you need them to know about their healing, their health and healthy weight. So after 34 years, I started getting more and more answers in these transmissions. And that's how I created the course, Healing Health and Healthy Weight Success.
Well, so another thing that this happened many, many times on the podcast. So we talk about the good note and the bad note, and we're about to talk about your bad note in a second here. However, what I've noticed is that almost everybody who talks about either the good note or the bad note, there's some aspect of that with the gut feeling. Whether you had a gut feeling that it was a bad idea or a gut feeling that it was a good idea or whatever it is, but whatever that was, the answer was inside. And for whatever reason, you listen to somebody outside
Yes.
who told you, maybe you should take this pill, maybe as an example. So I think that that's like, if you maybe don't believe in God or anything like that, maybe that's the gut feeling, right? There's something inside us that gives us the answers
Yes,
that we need.
exactly. I mean, the course that I have is set up so that you can take it whether you're a religious person or not. You could take the course.
Mhm.
Course also has a spiritual manual is that goes along with the course work that supports it with Bible scripture and other samples or examples of what we're talking about in terms of how God and Jesus would like to live. But what I found was that the biggest piece of this is exactly what you said. There's a huge push societally, culturally, to
Yeah,
seek advice and guidance outside of
yeah,
yourself.
the experts, right? The experts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's where, like, when it comes to religion, I know that, maybe I'm incorrect with my history, but it seems as though, they went from a direct connection to God to now you have to go through a priest. You have to go through an expert, but the expert knows what to do. So go talk to the expert about your connection with God, right?
Well, and the beautiful part about this, like let's just say you're on the fence. Let's say you church as a kid, but like you had sort of lost faith in things you were seeing and experiencing and thinking that's not right.
Mm,
But you believe in God. Let's just say that. What this coursework does is help to balance neurochemistry, right, in the limbic brain and stimulate something in the pineal gland that allows us to get that direct connection from our God that allows us to tap into that wisdom. I have included several visualizations in the coursework. One is a body scan. Now, I wrote something called Be a Body Psychic Workshop and a Be a Body Psychic Workbook that had a CD in it that had 4 tracks for visualizations. What I didn't know, and what our Father in Heaven had planned the entire time, was for me to take some of those tracks and put them into this course. Because the first one that I recommended, and the first thing that I'd seen in the healing sessions, was that I saw all this stuff happening throughout their bodies. They had no clue. So I would give them all this advice and guidance, right? So they came to me and they got all this advice and guidance, and I did nothing with it. So I found that the best way for them to learn this information for themselves was to actually experience it. So one of the very first visualizations I have in the course is called a body scan. And that came from that coursework from 2004, 20 years ago.
wow.
And once you have that essence, that experience of, oh, wow. I had people emailing me after I taught the course. I taught the course for 4 years at a spa called the New Age Health Spa in Neversink, New York. Every fall and every spring, a new group would come in and I would teach it. And in that time, I had people emailing me, wow, I had no idea that I actually have this problem. I have irritable bowel syndrome. There's something
Mm,
wrong with my thyroid. That was before, that's 20 years ago. Now the coursework has evolved into now I know what to do that I have this. I know how to handle this. And
wow.
I know where to get the wisdom from, and it's from within me. And it's growing something of an intuition about that. Some people have it because their parents had it, they were intuitive already, and they were able to kind of navigate things. I know nurses that are very intuitive that won't take any pills, will not take a
Yep.
vaccine,
Me
nothing. They
too.
want nothing to do with it.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm all for this movement of, and I call the Healing Health and Healthy Weight Success course a movement, because what people are beginning to realize is that they were the ones they should have trusted from the beginning, and this is something that's not often talked about because we're being bombarded with pharmaceutical company commercials day after day after day. If you're listening to any radio show, any news show, any television, oh, they've got a lockdown on advertising everywhere.
Mm.
So you're being bombarded and you're being sort of mesmerized into thinking about something that might be your future, right? Oh, I want to be as happy as that person. Ozempic is a way to go. Oh, by the way, 6 months into using Ozempic, you don't have an ability to digest anything anymore. You can barely eat anything. But because we've been pre-programmed over and over and over again, there's this sort of um, it's not, it's a hidden agenda that you're going to be happier, healthier that way by taking all of this garbage. But the reality is, you continually denigrate and decimate what you already have as your own wisdom inside of you. So we build that muscle in the coursework. We're building the muscle of using our own intuition. And if you believe in God, you believe that He's given you information, but also just knowing how to work with the limbic brain has been extraordinarily valuable for many people. Just knowing that it's not control, we have an ability to work with it, not against it. The limbic brain was always positioned as this unruly elephant, like I said, and this little teeny, driver on the top with a whip trying to keep control. We don't have to look at it that way. And in fact, it's not necessary to look at it that way. In fact, the biggest piece of this, that advice of anyone who's watching that I can suggest, is to drop all of consumption, not of food, because doing this will prevent you from craving foods anyway, but of violence. Any
Yeah.
horror films, any violent videos you see on your cell phone, violence in the news, avoid it all. You don't have to be exposed to that much violence. There's a study done many years ago now, and it probably has risen since then, that by the time someone hits the age of 18 in the United States, they've already consumed about 200,000 hours of violence from all the media. It's just horrible,
It's
horrible.
it's crazy to say that. Like, so I've never really liked any of the horror movies or anything like that, and I don't like just don't care for it, right? Uh, and then my partner, who is also a Nicole, by the way, she she doesn't want to watch them at all, and so I'm like, okay, well, this works out well for me. And we've got teens now, and they're trying to watch that kind of stuff, and we're just like, I don't want to watch it. Like, it's just I don't know. It's like this brain food that I don't think I need, right?
No,
And
exactly.
and we're taught though, like it's another brainwashing thing, right? There's tons of like, apparently that's good. Right? I'm like, why anybody would want to sit in the theater and scare themselves on purpose? To me, is I don't understand it.
Well, and so the effect it has on the limbic brain, our Father in heaven described it to me. He said, look at the limbic brain as though it's a brand new baby infant. Would you take that infant to a boxing match? Would you take
Mm,
that infant to a film? Would you take that infant to a monster truck rally? Would you take that infant to a really roaring crowd at a football game? No, you try to protect them.
yeah.
So what we've sort of been like told over and over and over again is that violence and entertainment is good, and
Yep.
it's not. It's
No.
just reverse.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk a little bit about the bad note then. So is there any mistakes that you made on the path that we can learn from?
Well, like I said before, the biggest mistake was believing in science and science alone. I became this very, very sophisticated, cutting edge, high end, science based salesperson. And I realized that, you know, you can't be in a health and fitness arena, weight loss arena, and make huge mistakes. The only thing you can do is follow what the dogma at the time is. And
Mm,
that was take GABA if you're not sleeping well. Oh, you should have an extra vitamin B in your supplements if you're not getting enough energy during the day. No, there's something else going on. So that was the biggest mistake that I made, was just believing in the science of it for so long and knowing though that there's this intuitive piece that but you know what? I couldn't even included the intuitive piece earlier than I had because the general population simply wasn't ready for it.
yeah,
They weren't
it's
ready
true.
for it. So I had to continue to do what I did separately, master healer and fitness, health, weight loss separately until I started to see the people that I was giving healing to also needed to lose weight. And they seemed to have a little more success than the people I was actually training to lose weight. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Yeah.
And it was because I was able to calm the limbic brain in a healing sense. But then I wasn't training them, or I wasn't in action with them in another teaching sense that could teach them how to do it on their own. That's why I wrote Be a Body Psychic 20 years ago. But all of this didn't make sense. It didn't gel until like 3 years ago when I started really channeling information from our Father in heaven and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ about how to do that. And as I said, I have a secular and a non-secular version of what that coursework looks like now. So I made a lot of mistakes in terms of at first believing in just the science and believing in other people's opinions.
Yeah.
I quickly abandoned that though. So I would say that was like early in my 30s. But now, like, I'm 58. I'm the healthiest 58-year-old person I've ever known. And it's because I started following my own intuition. I haven't been sick in like 30 years, maybe 24 years. I haven't been sick, haven't had a medication. So there is something that I had been doing naturally, that you had been doing naturally the whole time, that keeps us healthier and healthier and happier and happier. Also, one of the big pieces that our Father in heaven says that's most important is that for you to follow your calling. Now, your calling you thought was science of computers, and then you went into music and had your own business. That was healthier for you. You
Yeah.
probably are the healthiest one you know in your age range.
I am. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's why.
Yeah.
That's why, because we're following something that had been souls from the beginning. And that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. I think I do believe that a lot of our health comes from what we're doing, like just how we're living our lives rather than what we're necessarily eating or drinking or not eating or not drinking. You know, I don't, and I mean, in my life, I mean, like I said, I am one of the, I can't think of anybody in my age group, in my group that's healthier than I am. Like, barely ever get sick. When I do get sick, I was telling you earlier, it is literally my fault. I stayed up too late for several days in a row. Maybe I had multiple gigs, big projects, but even, I'm actually fascinated because I just came through one of those huge gig that I had for music and also a massive project that had me working like crazy, but I didn't get sick this time. And I think a lot of it is because I just took some time for myself. I took extra naps, just stupid stuff, like quote unquote, right? Like just like little things like, taking a nap when I felt like a little bit overwhelmed.
It's never stupid when you're following your intuition about what's right for you. That's
Mhm.
never stupid. And again, we talked about like this sort of mass mesmerism about what should be important. And it's rarely what we're supposed to be paying attention to, but you paid attention to it. I paid attention to this intuitive piece of it, but I think that's a great lesson for your audience. Like anyone who's struggling or suffering with their health or weight, you have to learn how to tune in what's going on inside. Now, I will say, we talked about violence and whatnot, but there's some people that have experienced trauma and abuse in the past. They can't forget. And that is also acting on the limbic
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
So we address those things in the coursework as well.
Yeah. Because that's the part there that I know you get a lot of people that kind of say, well, but you don't understand. I experienced this in the past. And it's just, you know, I get that. I don't have any massive, um, traumatizing things that happened to me.
Nope, I
So
don't
I
either.
can't really speak to that.
I don't either. Like I said, what I have learned is how to work with those emotions that are embedded in those memories and then bring them to fruition in a way that is more healing and healthy. It's not psychotherapy, and I just did it. I have a public access television show in Connecticut that we just had this topic that it was about education and children and their emotional states and being able to emote healthfully in a happy and not well, it could be sorrow, could be anger, could be fear, which are the top 3 indicators of disease and weight gain. But to be able to do it safely, fear of retribution, criticism, judgment, or anything. And that's another piece we handle in coursework is how to manage those things, but also how to hand it over when you don't have control over it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
when you recognize this did happen to me, I still feel horrible about it. I need to heal it, but I'm willing to hand it over. There's a whole system of steps there that we go into that frees people. And I also provide a one-on-one sessions called healing soul readings that allow people to experience that. Many of these people have never had the experience or an example of what it is to be healthy, healed, and at your healthiest. How to emote healthfully, how to do things that are good for your metabolism, your mind, your body, and your biological functioning, but you don't know how to do it. So that's what we teach in the coursework as well, is about communication and how to communicate in a way that doesn't um, upset neurochemistry, doesn't make you feel horrible, that makes it safe. Most of the people who come out of a session or a group coaching call with us say that that's their number one feeling. I feel safe here. It's the only place I feel safe to express what I need to express. And the second piece is this deep sense of calm and peace. A lot of people have never experienced that in their lifetime. So those are things that are a part of what I do and how I do it. But the reason is I just love people. I just love people.
Me too. Wow. Okay, so we're running out of time. Sorry.
I know.
It's
I
it's
know.
it's time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Right now, I'm thrilled because I have this new public access television show that sort of kind of goes into a little bit of details here and there about the coursework because it's huge. We're huge. We're wonderful. We're eternal. We have a lot of history. We have a lot of wisdom, and tapping into that is essential for me. So I'm really excited about the television show, but I'm also excited about the 10-week course. We are relaunching October 15th as a new group, and I'm thrilled about that because we've added a lot of new things, made it more consumable, more fun, and accessible. But I'm also excited about giving the talk. There's a 45-minute talk that introduces the thought of the Healing Health and Healthy Weight Success course, and it's a 4-step framework, I want to say. 4 steps you could take right away to start on this path of healing health and healthy weight success. So those are the things I'm most excited about.
So how do we find out more?
You can go to thetruthofyou.org. It's just truthofyou.org, or you can reach me at 646-739-7879. Or you can also email me at victory, VICTORY, victory people, and then my last name, Fevrier, FEV as in Victor, RIER, at gmail.com.
Awesome. So Nicole, who would be the person that would get the most out of this?
You know, I've been thinking about my audience for a long time, and it is really literally caregivers, children, parents. I'm talking to caregiver organizations and groups. I'm talking to teachers associations soon. Um, this is feedback I've gotten from people when I've given the talk. Oh, my teachers need this. My parent groups need this. Also, I want to say recovering, um, alcoholics, people who grew up in alcoholic or addicted families will definitely benefit from the healing benefits of this. Those sorts of groups, I think, and who don't we know that's not a caregiver, not a teacher, so it's almost everyone, honestly. But you know, it's something that I think we can all use. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Truthofyou.org is how we can find out more.
Yes.
Awesome. And thank you so much for rocking out with me today, Nicole. This has been really, really cool.
Thank you. It's fun. Woo, rocking. Thank you.
Awesome. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment to the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. And you can visit us at workathomerockstar.com. And we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.